It's a loaded question with me, actually, because I'm from Iran originally. I was born there, and the first several years of my life, we lived there, and the plan was to stay there. And of course, the Islamic Revolution messed that up, and so we moved to Los Angeles. I was raised in Los Angeles, but my formative years were actually spent in New York from 18 onwards. So I have a sort of ultra hyphenated identity, I guess, as Iranian American and Los Angelino and New Yorker, bi-coastal, bicultural. Well, at the time of the hostage crisis, they were still in Iran, and because my mother and my father were both educated abroad to a degree, when they got to the U.S., they spoke English. They were able to work here. It wasn't horrible, but for them, a lot of the fear came in just getting out of Iran. The airports were shut down when they tried to get out because of the Iran-Iraq war, and they were basically sort of gypsies through much of Europe. They were in Turkey, then from there they went to France, to Germany, and then they just finally went to Los Angeles by default because that's what all the Iranians were doing. But it wasn't so bad for them, and I imagine it wasn't so bad for a lot of Iranians because they all thought this was temporary. They only had 2 suitcases with them. And all their stuff is still in a house they own in Iran to this day that's left pretty much untouched. Everything as it was when they fled. Because when people talk about Iranians fleeing, they really did flee. Some of them made the decision quite rapidly. For some people, like my family, it was an almost overnight decision because it really never seemed like it would be permanent. That's a very tricky question as well. As I get older, I tend to become more Iranian. But I guess I've now, since the novel came out, been forced to consider myself as an Iranian American more and more so. My family is fairly a traditional Iranian family. But the novel really split me in two, made me sort of consider being a Californian and a New Yorker. So in some ways I emerged more confused than ever.